Hey everyone. Remember when I used to make videos about university?
Excuse me.
Because I barely do. I was pretty stoned back then. Nowadays, I make much more sophisticated videos about important issues like people telling me about the time they piss in the deep fryer at KFC and how much the shape of Max Chandler Mather's head really pisses me off. Personally, I think I've really matured as a creator. I don't really think much about university these days because I feel like once you finish your degree and graduated, that's the end of that. It's like guys in their 30s who still bring up, I went to Scots College. Shut up. Some people never mentally leave uni though, do they? In fact, some people don't leave physically. I'm sure we've all met those students before. Welcome to university, friend. Yeah, I guess. I just really want to get my law degree and get out of here. Law degree, eh? Yeah, nice. I got a law degree, arts degree, fine arts degree in psychology, linguistics, TAFE certificate, and get away from me! You understand why Paul Keating told those uni students to... Don't you think? To a certain sector of university student, that's good advice. If you need more convincing that Paul was right about uni students, take a look at this.
We will continue to go out onto the streets and to protest and actively encourage the public to support us in our campaign for free education.
That's right. Former Liberal Party Treasurer Joe Hockey, Radical Student Council President, encouraging violent protests against the government. When will Palestinians learn, eh? Did you know that? Joe's Palestinian. I thought he was Italian. So based on that premise, we made a slot for our usual insert racially charged barb here for that one, and once it's in, sorry. Anyway, this video's about HECS, the Higher Education Contribution Scheme, or the thing your Year 12 teacher was telling you about while you were playing Counter-Strike on your government-issued school laptop. Just a little joke for everybody in their late 20s. By the way, this is just a reminder that you graduated 10 years ago. Hope you got an invite to your high school reunion, because if not, pretty sad. Now, before we go on, you're not going to like this. I didn't like this. It goes against the narrative we've been spoon-fed since birth. But you're always asking me to criticise Labor. So here's a criticism. Something that you hate is actually awesome, and the decision of Labor's that you actually like to reduce your debts, I don't like. Now, can you like the video? It's gonna need all it can get. Just so we all know, HECS is a government scheme that pays Australians to go to university. The government pays universities to enrol a certain number of students and provide tuition loans to the students who get accepted. These are government-backed loans. They don't accrue interest. I know people like to squint as hard as they possibly can to make it seem like they're paying back interest, but they're not. It's indexed. That just means over time, money just naturally gets more expensive and you have to pay back your loan at that price. Come on, that's fair. You can't think, hey, I got my law degree in the 80s. Why do I have to pay more than $50? Don't let mature age students have a win. Now, I know that sounds harsh. A lot of this video is harsh. But here at Friendlyjordies, we deal with the facts and insults. So really, I don't know what I'm apologising for. That last comment was right on brand for this channel. Reality check. Now, the reason I have to make that indexation point is I think that a lot of people, for whatever reason, they like to fantasize that Australia's America, and they like to pretend that HECS is like college fees to an Ivy League, and if you don't pay them back, you can be put on a prison chain or some shit, and so stoners think, fuck that, I'm gonna better myself the way I have up until 25, watching heaps of SBS Viceland. I'm sorry, this does need to be addressed because I think that there is a lot of fear-mongering about university. You don't have to pay anything back until you start earning a bit of cash. If you remain a POV like I was until I was basically a middle-aged man, the government doesn't even bother to ask. Trust me, I know from experience.
Here's your dirty Labour money for shilling HECS, Jordan.
Hey, what's with the interest on this?
Well, you see, it doesn't actually have any interest, you see.
Huh?
Let me talk to you about indexation.
And if you die, the government just completely writes the loan off. Where? Debt-free and dead? Where's the downside? Oh, there's the downside. And you can even get a student loan if you're a New Zealander. So why does the government agree to fund this? Because it's the economy, stupid. There's lots of evidence showing that on average, the more educated you are, the more you'll end up earning. And HECS is designed specifically to push through high school graduates into higher learning. The government treats the whole thing like it's a big investment. If you end up an educated white-collar stiff, you'll earn enough money to get an accountant that helps you avoid taxes. But if a few folks end up as professional Twitch streamers or chill speed dealers who will never pay anything back, oh well, win some, you lose some. Sounds nice and fair, right? Well, what if I told you some people think it's not? And by some people, I mean everyone ever who gets a degree, especially parents who watch the ABC. They fucking hate HECS. You're probably aware that once upon a time, in a mythical fantasy land called the 70s, university was free. This is the narrative that's always pushed about this golden age, at least. You know, the time when people literally drank lead. That was the golden age. You see, Gough Whitlam the Great showed up in 1969. Killed William McMahon with an arrow to the eye and liberated students everywhere from the tyranny of tuition fees. We then had a golden decade where every Australian could attend university for free, no strings attached, until the crippling burden of tuition fees was forced upon Australians a decade later by a wolf in sheep's clothing, Paul Keating. Those Italian suits were made from Australian wool, don't you know? He did this not because he hated university students and wanted them to suffer, although he did. Look at him, bullying a child in the House of Representatives.
How are you going out there, Curly? Oh, darling.
The reason he did it was far worse. For you see, Paul Keating was a neoliberal. As always, anyone who says neoliberal, ask them to define it. The definition is always anything I don't personally like. Anyway, university students have suffered ever since because the government continues to force them to pay money to go to university, shackling them with crippling debt for life. Now, it's time to break character. How often have you heard that exact story? It's just so embedded that I took it as reality. I never even questioned it because it's just so endlessly perpetuated by YouTubers, vice chancellors, political parties that pretend that going to university is the financial equivalent of branding yourself a slave for life and that free university is some sort of manumitting skin graft. It's not. I'll tell you what fee-free university is, though. It's a good deal for students. So's the Hungry Jack's student deal, by the way. And don't you think you've had enough of those? So I get it. Free uni would have been good for me. And virtually everyone watching this. So, oh boy, I cannot wait to look at that like ratio in this video, telling an audience of mostly university graduates that they're entitled little shits. Look, if there's one thing you can say about me, it's that I don't suffer from audience capture. But again, the whole ethos of this channel is not looking for likes, it's looking for results. And as a result of that, I know what the arguments are going to be because I've been saying them for years. You're probably going to say that fee-free tuition made university more accessible for disadvantaged groups, which again, I get it. Until a week ago, I would have said exactly the same thing. And yeah, you can point out anecdotes to me of family members that escaped poverty by going to university in the Whitlam years, but on the whole, if that was its purpose, to reduce poverty for a poverty reduction program, it had a really bad return on investment. First off, again, because HECS is not like college fees in the US, you can get HECS if you're poor, and you never have to pay back a cent if you remain poor. So it doesn't disqualify poor people from going to university at all. But fee-free university, that was essentially a tax on poor people. Sounds crazy? Permit me to explain. The vast majority of people that went to university were middle class or higher, or, quote, bored North Shore housewives. So, really much like the Liberals arguing that private schools should be funded by the public purse because that means that these private schools can offer more scholarships so that the poor can attend these business connections outfits to lift them out of poverty. Universities were still overwhelmingly institutions attended only by the elites, which means, as noble as the idea was, fee-free university in effect was essentially upper middle class welfare subsidised by the working class that they generally didn't use. Because universities were getting basically all of their money from the Commonwealth government when it was free, the number of Australians enrolling in higher education was actually declining. This is because universities couldn't afford to upgrade or improve their facilities, increase teaching capacity to take on more students. I'll tell you what did make university more accessible to the working class. HECS. It gave universities the freedom to design courses to aim them at lower income people to upskill them in jobs that they needed. So to put it simply, your ABC addicted parents are wrong, as usual. Therefore, HECS is better at changing lives than tuition-free university. Change my mind. If we didn't have it, you'd either have a system where only the richest and smartest could attend, or we'd have a system like in the US where even Donald Trump can run a university or pretend to run a university. So there you go. You wanted something that I disagree with Labor on? I disagree with them reducing your HECS debts by 20%. No, but I do get it. The cost of a university degree now is just unbelievably inflated, and Scott Morrison massively ramped up HECS debts. Labor just wiped $16 billion off that debt, and I get that that debt was unfair, but saying that university's too expensive is not a criticism of HECS as a mechanism. It's like saying the NDIS is bad because the Liberals blew the budget out. It's not bad. It just needs to be managed correctly. Anyway, I'm basically using university in the opposite way that it's usually used, which is to shoehorn in TAFE. Ever thought about getting a trade, kids? If I had it my way, Gough Whitlam wouldn't be immortalised for making university free, and Anthony Albanese would be immortalised for making hundreds of thousands of TAFE places free. But he won't, because again, the people who write history go to university and don't give a fuck about TAFE. But you know how we do videos of what the TikTok inspector's up to, and it's basically him over and over going, unbelievable, they didn't bolt in the wall. Why is that? Because over the last decade, the Liberals have been privatising TAFE, turning it into the predatory scam factory you think HECS is, and the Liberals were able to get away with it to a much more severe degree than anything they ever did to university, because the upper middle class don't go to TAFE, and therefore it's not in the papers. The Albanese government going after these scam providers, increasing funding, increasing placements to TAFE, making it free. This stops the nation from literally crumbling around us. This prevents that. TAFE also does a way better job of what you think university does of lifting people out of poverty. Not that I begrudge you for thinking that university does. I mean, it happened to me.
Yeah, I mean, I was poor when I went to uni. I used to live in a share house, mate. Now I live in a share house.
I mean, there's your proof right there that increases living standards. How many fucking tradies have a share house? Sigma poverty lifter for Westie alphas. TAFE is really what lifts the working class out of poverty, and therefore, fee-free TAFE is what really should be held up as a massive accomplishment, but it won't be. So tell your uni drinking buddies that Albo cut their HECS debt by 20%. Oh, and I know this sounds like I'm making it up, but I'm not. How ironic is this? While we were filming that, I just got a text message from the ATO saying, congratulations, Geordies, your HECS debt has been slashed. Go, Albo!